Should we do book first?
Book? Yes, let's do the book first. This is Lords of the Sith review.
Yes. This was I went into this really excited because I love the idea of having a Vader Palpatine story.
Yeah.
Because like we had Thrawn recently, and that had a lot of Vader moments in it.
Lots of it.
Real cool.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. This one had also some really cool Vader moments.
I thought you were going
to
throw a but this one sucked. Okay.
But
oh no, the butt! Oh no, everybody!
But I didn't get as much like Palpatine Vader as I wanted out of this book. I felt like it
You want
focused
more?
a lot more on other characters than it did on them. Also, one that I don't even remember his name. He felt not super.
I think
reliable.
Gonk
What happened
broke.
Well, he'll try. But no, I
So you wanted more. You wanted
felt
more
like
Palpatine
for
Vader. You didn't get
Lords
enough.
of the Sith.
Yeah.
We focused on a lot of the Twi'leks,
Yep.
which was cool.
Gotcha.
I love Cham Syndulla.
Yeah.
Which was a big part of this book too, but
Okay.
also not that big of a part of this book either. I feel like.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a lot on characters that I felt like, well, why are these characters that I've never heard of in this book? And it was for the exact reason that I thought they were in that book.
They fought for what they believed in and gave their lives for that in that sacrifice.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, some of them didn't really achieve much either, right? Like there was some stuff with that. But no, I think it was a fun book, and I loved actually moments that had like Vader and Palpatine and them interacting and the things they were saying and doing and all this kind of stuff. And,
Okay. Gotcha.
talking about like their past and Palpatine doing his little like, ooh, your thoughts, Vader, like just like, well, what's he gonna do? Is he mad at him? Is he not mad at him?
Yeah.
But then there were I don't even know, the one Imperial guy who wanted to be a leader, but then
Are you talking about
forget his
Colonel
name.
Belcordre,
yeah, him.
the traitor?
I didn't care about him at all.
At
all.
None of the new characters won you over or anything?
He was an Imperial that I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I don't care because you're an Imperial. He wasn't like a good guy Imperial.
No, of course
he
not,
was just
yeah.
he was betraying the Imperials because he was also being like blackmailed by the Twi'leks and stuff too. And I
Did
was
you
like,
enjoy his complete and utter breakdown? I did. I loved it. I love like he would just like after every time he spoke to Cham. I thought it was hilarious.
I don't know. I guess
And
I
I
didn't.
actually quite liked his interplay with Moff Moors and trying to be like, all right, well, I'm in too deep, sunk cost fallacy. I'm just gonna kill the head of state.
Yeah.
I thought it was really fun.
I mean, that's what he had to do. There was he got pushed to the point where he had no options.
Yeah.
It was similar, I guess, to
Cham played him hard.
Cham had a similar point where he was like, we're at this point, we have to. And I thought it was really cool that like the story progressed to a point where we have Palpatine and Vader both stuck on a planet.
Yeah.
Like trying to survive, and they're being hunted by these freedom fighters.
Yep.
What was it? Freedom for Ryloth or
The
some
Ryloth Freedom Force. I don't have
it
no
was
idea.
something along those
Yeah.
lines. I forget exactly, but
Yeah.
and I mean I liked a lot of that aspect of all of it.
Yeah.
But then it would cut back to that guy, and I'd be like,
Really?
I
Interesting.
just didn't care so much about that part.
Okay.
I wanted more for Lords of the Sith. I wanted
Yeah.
more Lords of the Sith.
Yeah.
I think, and that was my like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Thrawn and Vader, like the second book of Thrawn,
Sure.
had tons of Imperial stuff that
Yeah.
I cared about and wanted to see more of Vader, more.
So you had an
Thrawn. I
idea of
enjoyed
what
it
this
so
is,
much.
and it became this, and you were like, "Oh, I want my idea."
My idea was the title of the book.
They were in it.
And I was like, oh man, I wanted more.
Well, that's
But-
incredibly disappointing to me.
What was your thought on the book?
I thought that Isval, the Twi'lek woman, the former sex slave, I thought she was one of the most badass rebellion-like characters I've read in a really long time. She stared down Darth Vader, knowing she couldn't win. Like, she stared him down anyway.
Sure.
How often do you see that happen? Like, never, almost never. Like, you will die braver than most. Like, Vader's experience is that people fear him and then they die. And she didn't fear him. And she knew she should have. I loved it, man. I thought it was great. I loved her I wanted to say adventure, but her when she went down and she found that other sex slave Twi'lek that was, messing around with the Imperial, and she was just gonna, I was like, we're just gonna kill this guy. He's like, don't kill him, don't do that. And she shoots people in the back of the head. It's an incredibly violent book. This book.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Lords of the Sith.
So did the other Imperial guy. He just shot that one guy in the back.
Oh
of the
yeah,
head.
dude, he totally did. He's in deep, but yeah, I know. There's just something about that character that I don't know, really spoke to me. Like, I just like per your point, like I know things aren't going to work out for him.
Sure,
like, it's not going to work out.
My biggest worry in this book was that I was like, hang on, when is that? Because as I went through the whole book, I didn't realize where it took place exactly. Sure. I knew it was between like episodes 3 and 4.
Yeah,
I was like, where is this in Rebels kind of thing? It's 14 BBY in Rebels.
Oh, 14 BBY, okay.
Yeah, and Rebels takes place like about 10 years later or so.
Sure.
So when I was first listening to it and was going through Cham's story and everything like that, I'm like, Cham's not going to die in this story, is he?
Yeah.
Does Cham die in this story? I mean, I don't know when Cham dies.
Sure.
So I was like, I was worried about him because of that part of it there, but like, I wasn't, like you were saying, I'm not worried about Vader or Palpatine.
Sure, I get what you mean.
What's going to happen with that. So like, there is that little bit of drawback too, but the parts of the story that I really liked were like Vader going back into his memory and having these flashes and thinking of like Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and stuff, and Palpatine sensing those moments and being like, you could have landed this much better than what you did. Why? What happened? Where was your mind? You know? And even when Vader stops Palpatine from killing the one Twi'lek at the one point, and I'm just like, it felt like, you know, just this tension between the two of them.
Definitely.
And I really liked that aspect so much.
Like along with their use of V-Wings, right? Yeah. They're not using TIE fighters, using V-Wings. Along with that, that was what put me like, oh, okay, we're still kind of early days as Vader as a Sith Lord. And he hasn't truly been confronted with like, hey, Anakin's in there or is he not? Let me know. Because I got shit to do. Palpatine has stuff to do. But yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. Like you never see Palpatine go out and do stuff on his own, except for certain moments, of which we'll talk about later, because we do have some of our best of Palpatine coming up. But yeah, I really quite enjoyed Palpatine being like, okay, so I know there's a snitch. I don't know how we're gonna get him, but we're gonna get him, and I'm gonna go myself. I thought that was really cool. Put myself in harm's way. Don't tell this person that. Don't tell this person that.
Sure.
And no, I like the Ryloth, the Twi'lek. I don't know, just how, they are. If you're gonna have the level of rebels, right, and you're gonna have Luke down here and Saw Gerrera here, like Cham's here and Isval's here, and it's like, hey, you could go too far, but I don't ever felt they really did. I thought their plan was good. I liked their. I liked how it felt like, hey, they could pull this off. They just didn't realize just how vicious the Emperor and Vader can be.
Sure,
they can be so vicious. When they started to kill all of the Twi'lek that came to help, right? Like the rescue squads. Cham had this plan with like 3 or 4 of them.
There was distraction units and that kind of stuff. And like,
so of the
Vader
hundreds that come,
Vader just like, Twi'leks, kill.
He killed them all.
I do think the Vader moments in this seem very threatening. I love the. It's like the first chapter. Vader boards the one ship with Pak, I think is his name. Yeah. And there's that moment. Actually, there might be 2 of the moments, but like it's the radio silence, and all you hear is just a. And he's like, you're next. And I was like, I just picture Anakin just like sitting there, just like breathing into it, and like, hello,
He turns up. That part did remind me of like when you remember back in the day when you had like when we had landlines and you could pick up the phone, hear someone, Yeah. You're like, hey, is someone breathing? Mom, grab the phone.
Mom, grab the phone. I'm on the phone.
You kind of felt like that a little bit with Vader's breathing.
But like how threatening he is through that part, and the part when they're like blowing up the Perilous, I think it is.
Perilous.
And Vader's like coming down through, and they're trying to get away, and like he just like he just it's so hard to get away from Vader because he's just a force just coming through. And both of those kind of moments when he's like, there were 8 men there, who is this? And it's so scary. It's like Rogue One, you know. It's those kind of moments, and I thought that. All the Vader moments in this, I thought were so good.
I think that's why I liked Isval so much, because it like mirrors Vader's stuff. Like she learns more and more what he's capable of, and that she cannot measure up, and it never stops her. If you feel like it would stop others, but it never stops her. I loved it.
I thought it was just like, I don't feel like you're thinking well.
Really?
I'm like, you're seeing what this man can do, and you have less and less and less resources. And you're still going at it. And I'm like, Cham even got to the point where he's like, I've used all my resources now. And then you get to the point when Palpatine's like, this is exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have waited, it could have been a force that would have been a problem. But instead, we stopped it, and now you don't have anything. And I'm like,
yeah, no, I get you. I mean, I understand, like, in terms of, like, strategy and all that stuff, but just at the heart of the character of a freedom fighter, like, the unwavering, like, she believes in what she's doing so much, like, it will not stop her. Eventually, she learns this is a magic sorcerer that can choke me from space.
Yeah, from one ship to another ship.
From one ship to another. And she's like, oh, no. But most people will be like, oh, my God, we're going to die. And then, something terrible is going to happen. She's like, I'm going to ram his effing ship. And she rams his effing ship.
No, I think that's great.
I love it.
I mean, that's one of those moments where it's like, I'm going to die. Yeah. What can I do to not die? And she does that.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff's great.
But I'm not going to...
There's just other aspects sometimes where I'm like, I wish there was like...
Yeah.
I guess it didn't feel too... I don't know, maybe there's more layers there than what I'm thinking. But it felt like it was like, I'm on a mission to do exactly this, and that's all I'm going to do. And I'm like, but when it really, really fails and you have only like 10 guys left to go after Vader...
Yeah.
Maybe you should just save these 10 guys. Because eventually it got to the point, it's like, get Cham out of here.
Yeah.
I'll distract him. It's like, but we could have just not came here.
Well, yeah, Cham's the leader. She's the fighter, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about the way that she carried herself and the way she spoke that I respected. Like, I knew from the moment we met her, like, this lady's going to die.
Sure.
But she's not going to die beaten.
Lasted a lot longer than I thought she would. I thought she was going to die on the Perilous. I didn't think she was going to make it off
But,
that.
like, she's not going to be like, oh, my God, please don't kill me. She's going to die defiant, and she looks at the two most powerful people in the galaxy and says, I do not fear you.
Sure.
And neither of them are like, yeah, you do. You're lying. They're like, straight up, she doesn't fear us.
Sure. Which is great.
Which is the greatest.
No,
Which one of the craziest things that you could say to a Sith Lord. Like, I don't fear you. And actually mean it. Like, which is kind of like when Ezra does it with Vader, and Vader gives him a little bit of like, all right, yeah, good job, buddy. Still going to beat you. Not going to matter.
Yeah.
But I'm not, destroying a subject that, is my plaything. Like, this person is against me and would rather die than be under my boot, Sure. So I just really like the character for that.
Sure, yeah. No, I love the fearlessness. But there was just some stuff. I think it was just more of like the story and me already like, well, in the metaverse of this, I know that this stuff will not succeed. So it all seems, futile, I guess, right? Like there's no like what they're doing doesn't matter because I know it won't work. But I loved the idea. I love the assassination attempt.
Yeah,
and
I have to push back on it. Like I understand like it's not going to work, but I don't know if that necessarily means it doesn't matter. But I think I know what you mean. Like, it's not going to change things that I know is going to happen.
Sure, yeah.
But I am going to learn more about these characters and their struggle. And that does matter.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they will be the spark that, I love that spark into a flame line is like, oh, man, fucking, that just came out before the sequels. That Poe Dameron line.
Yeah.
That already happened in Star Wars.
Sure. Like, for Cham, it gives me a better understanding of him and stuff, too.
Yeah. Sure.
But, like, also in, like, the grand scheme of things, too, like, it as much as I can understand Isval, like, it doesn't branch out further than this book. You know what I mean? Maybe they have her or put her in some other stuff, too, and I can be like, oh, hey, that's her, okay. Yeah. And it just kind of feeds itself, because that's what a lot of Star Wars does, is it takes things and just keeps,
I get
adding to characters and building on them.
We get Cassian Andor in Rogue One. If that was all he was ever in, like, you're still going to really appreciate the character and his small arc in that, but you're probably going to appreciate it way more because you have the Andor series.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like, right now, I can think of, Chirrut Imwe. He doesn't appear in anything else, at least to my knowledge he doesn't. No. But I can still...
You can appreciate the character.
And you can find a lot of value in what he goes through, what he says, and what he dies for, right?
Sure.
And I kind of felt that way with the Twi'leks a little bit.
Do you think that Isval died for something meaningful?
Well, yeah. I mean, the spark of rebellion is... extremely meaningful. Even if it doesn't catch something, it doesn't mean that's not worth anything.
I guess my thought was like that spark was already there. Cham was a spark of rebellion. Like he already was.
Sure.
And
well, I mean,
for whatever reason that it got pushed to this point.
The spark itself is the movement. Cham's the leader, but you still need people that are doing the business,
Sure.
know? And like Gobi, from the Clone Wars and Rebels, and her, they were doing the business.
Sure.
Just because you fail doesn't mean that.
Sure.
It doesn't mean anything.
But I don't know if Isval starts a spark of rebellion among the masses. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean,
but no. I mean, I think like her character, the fearlessness and everything they have with it, I think is great. But also like at one point I was trying to think, I'm like, okay, so where am I? Like the protagonists are the Twi'leks, right? Because I was like, it would have been interesting if we wrote this book as like the protagonists are Vader.
Yeah, it depends on the point of view of which character you're with at a certain point.
Yeah, and these Twi'leks are like the antagonists of it. But then I was like, well, I don't think it's really written that way. We just kind of sometimes jump over to them and hear like what Vader and Palpatine are doing and stuff too. And I don't know. It's just
no. I mean, we talk about heroes and villains, and a villain is generally somebody that they get hurt in the past and they go out and they hurt people because of it. And the hero gets hurt in the past and they say, never, I'm going to let that happen again.
Sure.
Someone like Isval was hurt in the past, and you can call her a hero, but also she's going to hurt because you hurt her. Sure. And it's not, black or white. It is kind of levels of gray, which I think is what maybe I was just kind of looking for with Rebellion stuff. I don't know. I love Saw Gerrera. I love how complicated he can be. But at the end of the day, like when we're reading that one book, Rebel Rising, and he just brings out disruptors and starts murdering people indiscriminately, I have to be like, you've gone too far.
Yeah,
Sure. I never really felt like, at least the Twi'leks, they got closer, but they never went too far for me.
Yeah.
And so never went into like an antagonist role.
Sure. I guess too, like you brought up like Andor and like Rogue One, right? And it's like in Chirrut Imwe, and like those characters, like if there was no Andor series or anything, they only exist within that movie, and that's all they're in. But what they ultimately end up doing has meaning towards the rebellion, the fall of the Empire, and all that. By the end of this, I didn't feel like Isval and what she did, except for at the very end being like, get Cham out of here and just keeping him alive, ultimately really led us anywhere except for exactly what Palpatine wanted. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of part of it too, where I'm like, man, I feel like I wish I felt like she accomplished something, and I didn't feel like she accomplished something. If that makes sense. Like, as far as the character goes, I think it could be great. I love the idea of, like, I'm not going to fear any Sith. I don't care. I know I'm not a Sith or a Jedi or anything either. But I think that's a cool perspective for her to have.
She knows she's on the side of right, and she will do anything to stop those on the side of wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, to the point where she kind of realizes that she's broken in this way.
Yeah.
But a broken person can still be incredibly useful when fighting tyranny.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the idea of, like, Andor, right? And all those guys where it's like, we were all real bad people, but let's do some bad stuff for good.
Yeah,
like at
saboteurs,
the very end,
assassins.
Right? Yeah, we've done some terrible
things.
This
cannot be in vain.
Yeah, we're going to do something now. And I love that. And I didn't feel like I got quite that out of this. But
Well, we'll respectfully disagree on this subject.
That's fine. Yeah, we can disagree on that.
Yeah.
But as far as like going
well, let's talk about the things that you really liked, which seems to be the Vader.
I love the
Palpatine
Vader and
stuff.
Palpatine stuff. I love the moments like when he was like Ahsoka, like he was just thinking about his past. He was thinking about Padme and stuff too. There was a weird moment, and I don't know if you caught this either, and I'm assuming it's a hiccup.
Okay.
Where I think they were on the planet, right?
Ryloth?
Yeah, on the planet of Ryloth. They had been crash landed there. There's Palpatine and two guards. And he says, like, take off your mask because it must be bothersome, right? Yeah. And he removes it, and one's a clone.
One's a clone.
And I was like, oh, cool, a clone. And Vader thinks, like, oh, Rex, Cody, Sixes. And I was like, who?
I caught that, too.
I was like, it must have been a hiccup. Or,
I mean, there's a million of them.
Clone,
one's got to be called Sixes.
I guess. But I just, like...
You meant, like, is this meant to be fives?
I'm assuming it was supposed to be fives. But I was like, why is this... Who's Sixes?
Yeah.
Because all the other ones, I think they named 4 of them. And I was like, Echo. I think they named Echo. And I was like, well, I know Echo.
I remember driving while listening to that part. And I remember thinking, like, look that up when I get home. Like, is there a clone named Sixes I don't know about? And now I just remembered it because you said it. I'm going to look up. Is there... Star Wars. This is my Google Jitsu, by the way. I'm really good at Googling.
I thought it was called Google Food.
Star Wars. Oh, yeah, but I watch Naruto now. Star Wars clone named Sixes. All right. Category Sixes. The greatest hero in Star Wars is this.
That can't be real. Is it a joke?
Let's
the
see.
Greatest hero in Star Wars.
Galactic Republic, 66th Squadron. I don't know if this.
The greatest hero in Star Wars.
What am I looking at here? I need some references. Hold on. This Wikipedia article isn't working for me. My Google Food has failed me.
Wikipedia has failed you?
Yeah. What's he from? Where are the references on this Wikipedia? Okay, I just have 6s. Born Camino, human clone.
Okay.
Jedi Bob was 6's Jedi General. Jedi Bob?
Are you being? It sounds like you're being trolled.
I'm clicking on it. Here's Jedi Bob. It looks like it's from a video game. His affiliations to Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic, and his dislikes are the Count Dooku fan club. What is this?
His dislikes are the Count Dooku. What are you looking at?
Jedi Bob.
The Count Dooku.
Yeah, what's this from though?
Fan club.
This is fake because this is saying a fallen statue of the Jedi Bob on Jeddah, and that's just a picture of the big giant Jedi statue. What is Jedi Bob in six? Jedi Bob in 6s would later manage to take the place of Sheev's bodyguards, with Sheev completely. They're just calling Palpatine Sheev here, by the way. Jedi Bob would use the Force to cloud Sheev's visions on the future. What is this trivia?
Well, I don't know.
Jedi Bob was the second most powerful Force sensitive to ever step foot in the galaxy, surpassed only by nobody and Gonk.
Gonk.
The Wills really liked him. Okay, but I have there's no references at the bottom of the Wikipedia page.
I don't know where this is from.
What's chat saying? Guys, we have both. We have with Twitch. We're on Twitch finally.
Greatest hero of Star Wars.
Yeah,
he was the greatest among us. Just knowing that I'm not him makes me want to kill myself. Clone Commander Bakara.
At the start of the Clone Wars, Sixes abandoned his Jedi General immediately after he met him, and went to seek someone worthy. I don't know what this is.
Count Dooku and 6s. Count Dooku said, "No, 6s, you're not canon." 6s says, "Check your sources, son. I'm as canon as they come." This is a troll thing, Eric. It has to be.
It has to be. This has, during Order 66, he gets a communication from Sheev. "Get lost, Sheev. I don't take orders from you."
Oh, 6s, I'm so sorry. I didn't know this was your frequency, sir.
Okay, I don't know what we're looking at then.
So in later editions of the book,
Wiki. That was not the Star Wars Wiki. It was Stapwap Wiki.
So in later editions of the book, 6s was corrected to be 5. So in the first editions of the book, it was 6s. And then whenever they did the audio drama or the audio version of it, it must have been the same issue.
Well,
so there was no 6s. It must have been 5s.
It's pretty rare that I don't understand what I'm reading when I get to Star Wars. And Stapwap Wiki got me.
Jedi Bob.
All right. Okay. Well, 6s, huh?
But no,
I remember thinking that too. It's been like, are they talking about 5s? Who wrote this?
I'm like, it must be 5s because they named Rex, Cody, Echo, and 6s, and I'm like, who the heck is 6s?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Anyway, that was one of my things I was just curious about.
Gotcha.
But no, what'd you think of the moments? Excuse me, the moments between having like. It felt like all of this, right? All of this was like also, besides trying to get the freedom fighters of Ryloth kind of losing all the resources or whatever that Palpatine wanted, felt like he was also testing Vader through so much of this.
Very much
and
so.
There's one moment that I liked a lot where, I love when Palpatine, there's 2 times when he pulls out his saber and is fighting with it, and I'm like, oh, sweet.
And then he also will look around and be like, how many people are seeing this?
Well, yeah, I was like,
I'm going to have to kill all these motherfuckers.
There was a point when he used the Force and stuff, and I was like, dude, his guards know he used the Force or what? He usually doesn't use the Force among anybody, you know?
What they know what to do? Keep their mouth shut.
I guess,
they know what to do. Yeah.
But then later on, he was like, this is on you, Vader. I can't use my Force powers here. And I was like, oh, okay.
There's way too many people.
Yeah.
There's a holocam out there. They're going to realize that their president is a devil, devil worshiper.
So I thought that was really cool. But there was a moment when I think they were fighting what are they called? The Lilacs or something like that? Like the crazy horde of whatever jungle monsters they were.
Yeah, there were 2 monsters. One I didn't know of. There were the tentacle ones that they fought. The giant horde.
Lilacs.
The first ones were
they were like dogs.
I remember those things from the Ryloth series or the Ryloth saga. Yeah.
Were those the ones that were hunting through the place that they had starving? Were they them guys?
I think so.
Yeah. And then Obi-Wan's shoot.
I believe so.
The canyon.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was them. But yeah, the second one's the one that had the tentacles and that went underground, and Palpatine and Vader just murdered all of them.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy.
Well, at one point, I love Vader. I think it was Vader who's like, "You two stay here."
Yeah.
It was like, "We'll fight the Queen."
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, these two are fighting the Horde?
That's what I was thinking.
You two fight the Queen?
At one point, they were like, how many think there are, Master? Or how many, it's like hundreds, thousands maybe. What are they going to do? They can't kill all of them. Anyway, they killed all of them.
Later, after we killed them all. But there was a moment somewhere within that, I kind of forget exactly where it is, but like Vader looks at Palpatine and like thinks about if he died here or if he would lose, and it was like, I could take control and be the leader of the Empire. And I was like, ooh, I like hearing these thoughts from Vader, because like it's a common Sith thing, right? It's has Vader ever wanted to move up and take over and do that? Because it's among the Sith, that's usually what they do, but we don't usually see that very much. And even by the end of it, except for when he finally does kill him for his son, I never necessarily got a huge feeling that he really would.
No.
Just that he was trying to entice his son to come join him. But then even when he got his son, he took him to the Emperor.
I get what you mean.
know?
The only real inkling we get in its legends now is just Starkiller, the secret apprentice.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to use him to help defeat
Sure.
Palpatine. But, I mean, when we take all of Star Wars into account, especially the sequels, and that Palpatine never intends to pass on what he knows.
No.
He will live forever. He is all of the Sith.
Sure.
Vader's kind of the perfect apprentice for him, right? I mean, he's expendable. He's the Jedi's greatest hero that he turned into his lapdog. If he loses an arm or a leg, it doesn't matter because we can just build him a new one. And if Palpatine's like greatest victory over the Jedi is Order 66, and having Anakin Skywalker be Darth Vader is his greatest mockery. So I never really, got the feeling that Palpatine, this almost has like this element in this book of him like kind of poking Vader and being like, hey, what do you want? What are you doing? What's happening here? Do I need to be on the lookout for you coming at me? Because you are technically the chosen one. Maybe you can pull out some crazy, I don't know what you can do. But at the end, it kind of feels where he's like, oh, okay, he's going to be loyal. That's where I want him to be, under my boot, and he will never rise above me. Yeah,
which is how I've always felt it. Because even though the point of like, Empire Strikes Back, it's like, the son of Skywalker could be a great ally. They have those kind of things. And then he's like, join me and together we can rule, the galaxy.
Sure.
And it had hints of like, we'll take over and get rid of the Emperor. But then once he finally got Luke, he just took him to the Emperor. And I'm like, but they didn't try to stop him. You didn't try to turn him. You didn't try to like, let's go kill him or nothing. So
it's too late for him. He must obey his master. If he doesn't obey his master, what is he? If he is Anakin Skywalker, he's the worst person to ever live. He has to be Darth Vader, and Vader just serves the Emperor.
It's true. I mean, he's come pretty far into some terrible, terrible things and stuff. There was something I was reading where I don't remember who it was or what it was. I don't think it was on Facebook, but someone was being like, talking about how the prequels like made Anakin sympathetic, and he used to be like a big, terrible, like menacing, creature and stuff like that. Like it was like, oh, he's a scary bad guy, and then you go back and you have the prequels, and they made him sympathetic, and he just wanted to do it to try to save his wife and stuff. And I'm like,
okay,
I was thinking like, well, yeah, I guess that's how he gets influenced and enticed by the dark side to do it, and then he goes and murders children. He did all these terrible, terrible things and becomes exactly what he becomes in, and then gets redeemed by the end eventually. But
does this person only ever watch 4 and 5, not 6?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember exactly where it was, but I was reading it and I'm like, but what? Why would you?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to have like, who was this person before and how did they come to this place?
It makes it worse.
Or did you just want to see like, I want to see a little kid who's like stabbing bunnies and like just doing terrible things as a kid, so I can hate him all the way through. I mean, I don't know.
I guess it's a criticism. I don't understand. Like, did they like get into like biblical history and they're like, the devil used to be the angel? What the hell? I want him to be evil. He was good once.
I don't know. It was just it was a weird thing that I saw, but
okay.
But no, I liked at least having Vader have those thoughts, even to the point where he was like, I forget exactly what it was, but he's like, I could pick up his frail body, and I'm like, hey, he does that later.
He does do that.
He was thinking about like, just could I pick him up and just throw him on the ground or whatever it was. But it was interesting having those thoughts from Vader, where like as Vader, I didn't feel like I typically got that feeling from him. But like you said, it could easily be that he's like, Palpatine's feeling it out, and trying to like get him to be like, you can have these thoughts, but then squash them.
Yeah,
be loyal like you're supposed to be.
Like they even kind of bring it up a little bit. He's always calling him friend. Hello, my friend.
Yeah.
he doesn't talk to you. I mean, he talks. He's a politician, right? He's gonna do that, and make everybody feel good. But when he says friend, it doesn't feel like that's what he means.
Yeah, right.
It's more slave. You know, hello, my slave.
Hello, my slave.
Yeah.
We also had. I don't remember him being in it a ton, but Orn Free Ta was in this a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
Vader thought he was the spy and just picked him up. No, help me! Oh.
But he also had like a weird way of breathing and stuff too, where he was like
Sure.
injured and stuff. And I was like, oh hey, this was done before Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
And Bad Batch had that moment where I was like, oh, is he dead? And he was like, oh, well, he's not dead.
Yeah,
oh,
dude,
okay.
they were referencing something that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, right. Isn't that great?
that can work. It
was
did have a weird breathing.
Yeah,
thing.
it was like a pre-make.
That's what kind of reminds me of like the Genndy series Grievous, and he spoke like this, and never at all would he cough. So at the end of the second season, Genndy had to have like Mace Force like rip his chest open, and now it's like, hey, it makes sense now.
Nah, that's why.
It kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, he did have like a weird.
He had like a weird
breath
breathing
thing.
kind of
yeah,
thing.
and the voice artist that did the audiobook really exaggerated it. Yeah.
So Ryloth has
a
lot of problems that they don't
Yeah.
listen to me.
Like, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's because of his injury that he had from, not Constantine, but whatever that other guy was playing.
Sure.
I forget his name now. But from Bad Batch, we saw that happen.
Starts with an A. Or I'm sorry, an R. Admiral.
Raditz.
I'm gonna look at my action figures real quick.
Hey, look at your action figures. Yeah, that's it, Nexus. But I'll see if he can get it.
Rampart.
He messed up.
Isn't it
No,
Rampart?
yeah, it's Rampart. That's him.
I have the action figure
Yep,
right here.
That's him, Rampart.
Didn't think I had a Rampart action figure. Gee,
I want to see what you came back with. Like, did you get it? Did you find it? I'm not gonna say yet, guys. Hold on a second.
Yeah, this is my Black Series. Bad Batch Vice Admiral Rampart, not
Sure,
Admiral
yeah,
Rampart.
yeah.
My bad. It's gone now, though.
Now, another thing with them that I liked too, that I thought was interesting, was they met the one Twi'lek, and I mentioned a little bit too, but like Palpatine goes to kill her, and Vader stops it.
Yeah, that
And
was
I was
shocking
like,
to me. I was like,
oh man,
what are you doing, man?
But then it felt kind of like when you do something with your boss, you're like, hey, you know what? I think this might be maybe we could use her, you know? And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
And he kind of went with it.
But also, like, this is going to kill all the other villagers, right?
Yeah.
If you hadn't
well, that's
done
what
that.
Palpatine was saying,
Yeah.
right? Like, because you saved her, now you're killing all of them.
And not only,
did-
are they all going to die? I'm going to send you there, just like I sent you to the Jedi Temple. And you're going to do it all again because you're my slave. You're not my friend.
Did you feel, or maybe this is me like imparting what I was hoping was there, did you feel like Vader at all had any remorse or sadness of going and having to kill all the Twi'leks there that were hiding in the ground?
Well, I think the answer is, of course, he does, but he can't allow himself to. So, like, I think, it's like what Hayden Christensen says. Like, he doesn't consider them two different characters. They're one character. He just has to justify being Darth Vader. So I think that he does, but his belief is that he cannot allow himself to think that way. So he just uses the dark side, anger and fear and all that stuff to just cloud away Anakin Skywalker. So I mean, I think that's kind of the point of what we saw when he did make that stop. Like, no, we can still. He was like, no, Master, we can still use her, but it felt like an instinct, and then he had to justify it.
Yeah, like Anakin was like, "What are you doing, killing?" You
Yeah,
know, like
there was like an element in there that kind of felt that way. I don't know if it was really meant to go that way, but
No.
it felt that way for me.
And I don't know if it's me putting that onto him as like,
Yeah.
oh, what would Anakin have done versus this? And there's lots of times where like I feel like Anakin's still kind of there, and that's kind of what they. And with this being earlier days, maybe that's kind of what they're going for. When was Thrawn 2, the one story? That was
Electric
in the
Boogaloo?
middle of Rebels. That
Yeah.
was late into Rebels, right?
Yeah, that was after. Yeah, that was in the middle because there were two different timelines in that one. There was the Clone Wars one, and then there was the.
It was
Between what 2 and 3 or 3 and 4?
Was that? Didn't he make the Bindu? Didn't he say like, "Oh, the Bindu, you didn't do it"? You know, like he didn't say it like that. But
I think
like,
that's exactly what
I
he
think
said.
Vader mocked him about the Bindu in
Yeah.
his moment when they went
Yeah.
to the same planet that the other one was. But this one here, since it's further back to before that, it might make more sense that there's a little bit more Anakin in there now than there is like later on or something too. But even in that book, like you still had those elements of like Anakin and memories and things that he's still dealing with and stuff too, which is really cool. And I love just battling with that turmoil of like these kind of like, alter egos that he has, right?
Oh,
it's like Batman and Bruce Wayne in a way.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's almost like if we're looking at it as a belief system, like I am not Anakin Skywalker. I am what remains. All that stuff. Like he would probably almost feel haunted by Anakin and Anakin's memories. Like they're not mine. Something else is haunting me. Maybe that's how he justifies it. But it is an interesting topic to think about.
Well, like, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened with his meditation because he had some of those like moments that he was thinking about too, and he came to, and he's like, and like Palpatine's like,
That's why it's so.
Yeah,
that's why it's. I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages to being in Vader's mind because when we're just watching and it's just a mask, we can try to guess what he's feeling. All we know of, like, when he just says something, I have to then judge if he's telling the truth or if that's how he really feels or if he's not hiding something. He can hide so much behind that mask.
Yeah.
But when you're in his mind in a book,
Yeah.
you kind of lose a little bit of that. What is he really feeling right now? Like whenever Luke is like, Father, you come with me and we can defeat the Emperor together in episode 6. Like, and he says, it's too late for me, son. Like, I must obey my master. Like, is like that has like this element of like, is that Anakin speaking or is that Vader speaking? I don't know which, and it's fun. But when you do it in the book, you kind of know sometimes.
Yeah. No. And like with having that in the book, like you get those elements where you're wondering what he's thinking, and you get that, and is there an element of Anakin there? But then you also get those moments where like he jumps down in the quarry and just like reflecting bolts back to spaceships and stuff, and he's just speeding through things and killing every Twi'lek he sees. And, it's like, all right, there's Vader too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there he is. This is a side point, but I showed Aaron this morning, like, hey, did you ever see the full cover art for this book? It's pretty sweet, but like you pointed out, it's like, when's that?
Yeah.
When are there AT-ATs and all these guys? And I was like, yeah, you're right, but also look how long his lightsaber is in this picture. It's like twice as long as it should be.
It's real long. Real long.
Now, it was never meant to, I think, maybe be a full picture, and it was like, it's covering a book, so maybe they don't care, but man, it was too long.
Yeah.
Good picture, though. Like,
No, it was great. But for the cover of the book, I was like, does it take place in the book?
Yeah.
It was like someone was like, hey, draw me a picture of like Vader and Palpatine together on a mission.
Yeah. What are they doing? I don't know.
Fighting stuff.
What? Just draw some people and they're
this is
fighting.
like stormtroopers, big Star Destroyers, some AT-ATs, because that's imperial and scary, and all right.
It does make you think, like, whenever they are commissioning those covers, does this person, like, did they read the book, or are they just told what to do?
Are they given any information about the book?
It's got to be they're just told what to do, right?
Yeah, it's got to be like, and then it's not too specific.
I would say so.
And then they just like cut off parts of it, and you're like, we'll use this part.
Maybe
shortens the saber if we cut off here.
Yeah,
and we'll cut off this part and cover it so you don't see the AT-ATs.
I get you.
Another thing I thought was interesting was the names. I was wondering what it was, and then later on you find out. But with that Twi'lek that I was saying about that he saves.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, here is what was it, captain or sergeant or whatever it was, and she's like, I don't know your names, and he gives I forget what the two names
I wrote them down,
were, but I remember what they mean.
Yeah, I wrote them down. They are Grata and Urluk. Yeah, so death and fate.
Yeah, the Sith in the Sith language,
Grata.
Death and fate, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So their fate is death. Like,
yeah, it's incredibly dark.
I'm your fate, and he's your death.
I know, it's so dark, man. Like Palpatine's like, because he goes on politician, like, yes, show me your elders. Oh yes, do the dance. And he's looking at Vader, he's like, hey, look at them. His name's Death and Fate and Destruction. Like, and these people are just completely oblivious.
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed when Cham like refuses to. Like, I'm not.
He doesn't want to just
people.
Go in guns blazing. He wants to get those people out as much as he can first. Yeah.
The others are like, hey, the element of the surprise is literally the only card we have left to play to have like an actual chance.
And he should have taken it.
He should have, but like Cham refuses.
Because all those people died anyway from Vader.
Saw Gerrera wouldn't have.
No. That's the difference between
Mon Mothma would.
That's the difference between like where like the things that you were saying, like here's what Luke will do, here's what Saga will do, and here's what Cham will do. Right?
Han would have like been like but he also would have been like, oh, thank God we didn't do that. I don't want to be a dick.
No, I agree. It was the Cham stuff I thought was fun and good, and I enjoyed seeing because I mean he's in, I don't know, maybe 2 arcs of Clone Wars. Like I don't think he's in too much of Clone Wars, and then we have a little bit of Rebels.
A little bit of Rebels, but I think this was my favorite appearance of him.
Yeah,
yeah. But we got to spend so much time with him.
Yeah,
you know, it took me like 12 hours to read this book. So
yeah, I think I would have liked if I don't know. I wonder if it probably wouldn't have sold as well if it was like a Cham Syndulla story. You know,
probably not.
But I did read a thing where the author, what's his name, Kemp or something like that.
I think Paul Kemp.
Where
I might be making that up.
He had said something about this will be a story with Vader and Palpatine, you know, and another character, but I can't say yet.
Yeah.
But he's in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
You know, and people were like, "Oh, I wonder who that's gonna be," you know. So
Paul S. Kemp.
Thank
you, Irish Nexus.
So but I like the Cham story bit, and I maybe if the focus was more on him, kind of like how the Thrawn book was more on Thrawn, but we also got Vader too.
Sure.
I think that would have been maybe really cool and just made it more about Cham Syndulla. I loved when they were in the. It was around the time of Pak. I think I'm saying his name right. When he was being attacked or killed or whatever, and he said I didn't turn the radio off in time, and he knows that someone was listening, so they're just hiding in space, in these rings or whatever, and power down everything, and we just sit and we wait. He's like, but if they find us, we can't get away. He's like, if they find us, we're dead regardless.
Yeah, we're already dead. It was our only shot.
That whole segment there was it was tense and scary.
Yeah.
But also Cham's being I know what we have to do. This is what we have to do. And even the one point, he was talking to Isval. And was we can't do anything. If we do anything, we're dead as well. And Pak chimes in, being we understand, Cham, and it's all right. And he's like, damn it, I thought I thought I muted this. So there's some moments like that I'm it's so sad and terrible and stuff too. And it just makes the Empire so just awful and scary and whatnot. So,
but hey, I mean, at the very least, the Twi'leks of Ryloth prove that hey, you can destroy a Star Destroyer, because they kind of implied that this is the first time it's happened.
Yeah, I love the way they do it.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was great. I loved Vader discovering buzz droids.
Yeah.
Right?
Me too, yeah. He just rips open vulture droids and buzz droids fall out.
Yeah. Oh no, shoot them all.
Yeah.
So I thought
and also they put on bombs that you can't turn off. That's handy. We should do that more. We tend to put bombs and someone comes over and hits the button and they turn off.
Yeah.
We should get these ones. Vader looked at him and was like, and Vader's a mechanical genius. Not only is he a machine, but he's a mechanical genius. He can fix anything. And he looks at those bombs and he's like, abandoned ship. We need more of these Twi'lek
whatever
bombs.
These bombs are.
Exactly.
They should use those more. So no, it was I that was probably one of my favorite parts of the book as far as for both sides of everything. Was Cham had sent these teams on board, and Isval was all right, our job is to go. We're gonna do this. We're gonna put these bombs on. And we're gonna get out of there.
Yeah.
And that segment there between Vader coming back from blowing up the vulture droids and the buzz droids and all that, and coming back and then finding what's going on and pursuing them.
Yeah.
She had the one moment. Isval had the moment being I didn't lock the door. There's nothing to stop him from just coming through.
Yeah.
At least the first door they had stopped, She's thinking about, I can't say anything. I'm gonna freak everyone else out. So just quiet, don't say anything,
Yeah.
I just all that just kept a good tension and stuff.
Did.
And she was a character that I'm I truly didn't believe she was gonna make it off the Star Destroyer.
Really? Yeah.
I'm this I don't know this character.
Yep.
This is when she ends, and we have Cham out there, and I don't know. I was at that point, I'm where are we at with this? We have vulture droids and stuff. It must be before Rebels. Yeah. But when we first started, I was does Cham die in this story? Where are we at with this? But no, it was
I just love.
It was a very tense moment. I love that section.
I'm with you though. I'm surprised how long she made it. And
especially after being choked in space from
exactly.
ship to ship.
Yeah, exactly. How long she made it, and at the end when they've had her, she's been captured. She's at their mercy. They believe that she has no fear, and they don't even try to interrogate her at that point. Let's just kill her because we're not going to break her. And how often does Darth Vader do that?
Yeah, right.
It's got they didn't bring out an ITO droid.
No, they didn't, right?
I thought
about
they just looked at him that's just too great.
Imagine
too strong.
Can't
do it.
Just kill Leia. They didn't do that. Oh.
He's got to kill her. Yeah. Well, it was a fun book.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it. It's not a visual thing, but I can't help but think about and then Palpatine and Vader and the other two, climbed up this, the ravine. I kept thinking of like Palpatine, like hiking. He would slip, and he does that. The crazy like stuff he would do when he's fighting Yoda in the Senate. Like,
Yeah.
I just imagine like, whoa, Vader, catch me, as he's trying to hike. I just don't think about him hiking so much.
No,
especially as the Emperor.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me. I just kind of wish I could see it.
Yeah, it would be cool to see. I wouldn't mind that.
Like I just like the idea of him just out there like stranded by a campfire and just,
Well, there's not a lot of time to, especially once he's like kind of Darth Sidious, like he is the Emperor. He's just this evil.
Yeah.
Like you see him move around a little bit more when he is like just Chancellor Palpatine or Senator Palpatine or whatever. But once he's like Emperor and Darth Sidious in his cloak and stuff, he's a little bit more stationary. Doesn't move as much, or he just kind of walks slowly.
Yeah.
Like in Return of the Jedi, when he arrives on the Death Star, the Death Star, Death Star 2, he just
rise, my
walks.
friend.
Yeah,
he has a cane. Yeah.
So you take those images of what you have of him moving around it all, and then put him on Ryloth, traversing ravines and going through jungles.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Like I know he could flip over the ravine, but he'd probably just oh god, he always has his hands up like this, running. Ah! I thought whenever we play Battlefront 2, you see he's always running around like this.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like a T-Rex.
Did they? They never named the clone captain dude. Did
I think
they?
it was just called Sergeant.
Sergeant.
Yeah.
Because I was just wondering. I'm like,
right? Am I right about that? Sergeant?
It was Sergeant or Captain? Because the other guy was like D's or something.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Yeah. D's nuts.
That's why I kept remembering it. I'm like, his name's just D's. Just D's. All right. But the sergeant
That's
or whatever.
funny.
I'm like,
I didn't think about it until you said D's.
yeah. And I was like, all right, D's. But I was just wondering. I'm like, I wonder if we'll get anything, especially with like Bad Batch and stuff. And there's gonna be at least one more season of Bad Batch. But some of these clones that stay, will we ever see the one that becomes Palpatine's guard?
I've never seen it before. This is the only time I've ever even heard of a clone that could be a royal guard.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be open to something like that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
I don't know if I have too much else on the book. Those are some of the main.
I think we
points and
covered
stuff
everything
that I really liked or really didn't like or whatnot. And overall, I thought the book was fine. I mean, it's a fun chapter within the Star Wars story and everything of like Vader and Palpatine and what happens to Chams, because like he had a fairly good resistance build up and stuff. So it's like you're getting that story of like why they're not around anymore.
Sure.
But it's just it really, this goes a lot more with, I guess, like Revenge of the Sith, where it's like the things that are there and you're just seeing how they fall and aren't there anymore, and how the Empire is just getting away with everything.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't talk much about the Moff either, but those the Moff Moors and the Imperial that wanted her position, I didn't. Both of them, I was kind of like, when we cut to their stuff, I'm like, all right. I was like, cool. He's gonna go. He's at the end of his rope.
Yeah.
I know this guy has to die.
Sure.
Like, there's no way he gets away with this with Vader and Palpatine. And I'm like, I was just waiting to see what happened. I thought maybe he'd get a little further and maybe kill them off or something, but he didn't even get that far.
Nope.
And then the Moff was like, well, no, I'm not going to turn you in.
Sure.
It's like, I can't. You're dead. That's what I can do.
I mean, it's honestly not that big of a deal, especially being where we are looking back. But I think officially Moff Moore's, when they started speaking about her partner that she lost, is officially the first LGBT character in Star Wars.
Really?
Yeah. Like at that time when it came out, I think that was the case.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think there was a book or something we read that we had someone, didn't we? Was it like a clone or a trooper?
Well, there was a
trans
clone.
That was
sister.
There was, maybe that's what
is
it
that
was.
what you're talking about?
I think that was mentioned in a book in passing.
That was in the Brotherhood
sister,
book, I believe.
Who's sister? And,
yeah,
and that was something that I think chat told us, like, oh well, you haven't really met that character yet.
Yeah,
it's a reference to like a character from another book. So I'm okay.
Well, speaking of characters that we haven't met yet, there'll probably be some in the next book that we do.
Oh, yeah, probably.
And I believe that book is going to be the first of the Padme trilogy. This is by E.K. Johnson, who wrote the Ahsoka novel. Queen's Shadow is the next book that we're going to cover. This is a book that takes place 4 years after The Phantom Menace focuses on her transition from queen to senator.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
So this is in between episodes 1 and 2. That's
Yeah.
neat.
No, honestly, it sounds cool just because it feels like we're gonna see some stuff we don't normally see, which is cool. So I'm interested to fill out that part of the galaxy. And I mean, Padme, by the nature of her character, very much comes across as supporting character. Like, she'll be there to mop up Anakin after he kills some Tuskens, you know? Yep. I wanted to have her as a main protagonist. I'm going to be excited for that.
It'd be interesting what that story is, too, because, like, we skip, like, there's not, like, Clone Wars in between there, you know? And I know that, like, I haven't seen her in so long, Master. Like, Anakin's not going to be there or anything. So I wonder what the story will be in that. So that'd be interesting. Or is it going to be more political?
What do we know? We know that in episode 2, she says, like, I did, 2 terms or something? And I heard they tried to amend the Constitution.
So that she could do another, yeah.
So maybe we'll cover some of that stuff.
Yeah, perhaps. Okay. Should be interesting.
Queen Shadow, next Badonkagunk.
Cool.